Hey, what's going on, everybody? So, I wanted to take a look at the conspiracy charge and the conspiracy to defraud the United States in particular. Now, this statute is basically known as 18 USC 371. And to me, it just seems kind of a peculiar charge. For one, it seems like it could be something, if you're accused of it, it seems like it could be something that's almost impossible to beat. And I'm going to get into why in a minute. But the other thing is that it seems like the statute of limitations for the conspiracy to defraud the United States or conspiracy in general is tough to beat. Now, if you wanted to know the statute of limitations on just about any offense, there's definitely different rules that's going to apply. I'm sorry, there's different rules that are going to apply for each crime that you've been alleged of committing. So, depending on the crime, there is a specific statute of limitations. For example, I know in terms of child sex crimes on the federal level, there are no statute of limitations. So, some of these charges don't have statute of limitations, and some of them have a huge range of statute of limitations, or shall I say, the time on some of them may be pretty long. But in general, for non-capital offenses, the statute of limitations is going to be 5 years, or at least according to 18 USC 3282, offenses not capital, non-capital offenses, right? And in general, the statute of limitations goes on to read, and this is the federal statute of limitations. In general, except as otherwise expressly provided by law, no person shall be prosecuted, tried, or punished for any offenses not capital unless the indictment is found or the information is instituted within 5 years next after such offense shall have been committed. So that's basically telling you that you can't be tried for something that happened over 5 years ago, right? In general, right? But going back to the conspiracy charge, the conspiracy to defraud the United States is actually kind of unique in the sense that it's a continuing offense, right? So the statute of limitations never run out on this. Unless two conditions are met, one or two conditions are met, I'm sorry. And basically, the first condition that can start the clock ticking on the statute of limitations is if you come clean, you go to the authorities and say, hey, look, I was involved in this conspiracy to defraud the United States. Maybe let's call it cheating on the lottery or something like that. You cheated on the state lottery and you got some money, but apparently not enough to basically keep you from going to the authorities, or not enough to keep you wealthy. And for whatever reason, you go to the authorities and you say, hey, look, I cheated on the lottery. Me and a couple of my boys, we had this plan. The plan worked. And basically, we got X amount of dollars from the state lottery. And I just wanted to come clean. So at that point, the government has at least 5 years to decide whether or not they're going to prosecute you. I apologize. I said at least. They have a maximum of 5 years of time to decide whether or not they want to prosecute you. Now, the other condition which starts the clock moving on the statute of limitations, or start the clock ticking, is if you have basically disassociated yourself with the conspirators, which seems kind of strange to me, but basically, in that same scenario, you don't go to the authorities, but you basically just disavow the organization or the group of people that you were associated with, and you just come out and just say, hey, I don't communicate with those guys anymore. They're not a good group of people. I want to disassociate myself from them. Now, that's my understanding to the way this thing reads, and I'm going to read this to you guys, and you guys let me know, leave your questions, comments below, and let me know what you think about this. Am I reading this wrong, or am I just not understanding what this means? Basically, it goes on, and individuals withdraw from a conspiracy starts the statute of limitations running as to that individual withdrawal from a conspiracy for this purpose means that the conspirators must take affirmative action by making a clean breast to the authority. So there's the first condition, right? And it's separate from the second condition, and it basically goes on to say, or communicating his or her disassociation to the other conspirators, right? So there's the second condition. So there's two separate conditions that can start the clock ticking. I have to say I'm a little bit confused about the second condition, because it looks like all you have to do is come out and just disassociate yourself from the people that you ran a conspiracy with in the past, and that gets the clock ticking. To me, it seems like there has to be some type of public disassociation from those individuals, but it just seems a little odd that you can get out of the conspiracy to defraud the United States simply by just saying, well, hey, I don't hang out with those guys anymore. They're not really good people. I want to disassociate myself from those people. Am I getting this? Am I reading this right? Leave your questions, comments below, and let me know what you think. So now, I think overall, the conspiracy to defraud the United States is something that's going to be difficult to beat. And here's why. Because basically, in my mind, they're only going to try to prosecute you for this under two conditions. The first condition is that they have found some evidence to tie you or one of the members of the people you have alleged committed this conspiracy with. So in that scenario, it's really just a matter of beating the evidence, and it's really going to depend on how good that evidence is. The second scenario that comes to mind where the government would charge you with this is if they have someone that's basically going to testify. And if they have somebody that's going to testify, at the end of the day, it's your word against theirs. Your lawyer has to put together a more compelling story on why you were not involved in this or why you should walk free, versus the government lawyers putting together a more compelling story. Now, the tricky thing about this is that if they have more than one person that is going to come out and testify against you, saying that you were involved in this conspiracy, then in my mind, and again, I'm not a lawyer. If you've come to this channel thinking you're talking to a lawyer, you've come to the wrong place for sure. I'm just some guy who likes to read stuff like this over the internet. But if they have more than one person that's going to testify against you, to a jury or to a judge, you're just going to look that much more guilty. And to me, it's going to be hard to beat a conspiracy to defraud the United States when you have multiple people coming out to testify against you. And I would believe the only way that you could probably beat a situation like that is if you have some type of incriminating evidence, or if you have a way to attack the credibility of the people who are coming out to testify against you, that evens the playing field. So that's pretty much it for this video. Let me know what you think. Do you think a conspiracy to defraud the United States is a tough allegation to beat, a tough case to beat? Leave your questions and comments below.